3 men lost in space, the space disasters. The day was April 19, 1971, when the Soviet Union had just launched the world's first space station, named Soyuz 1, into low Earth orbit. 2 months later, on June 6, 1971, 3 astronauts took the Soyuz 11 to the orbiting space station. But what disaster happened in space? And how did they get lost? Want to know the secret? You are warmly welcome to our channel, where we solve every single mystery. So stay tuned, and we'll begin. Space is brutally inhospitable to human life, so it's a small wonder that only 3 people have died there out of the 561 who have ventured beyond the safety of Earth. 5 times as many people have died in crashes or explosions while escaping or re-entering our planet's atmosphere. Astronauts Georgy Dobrovolsky, Vladislav Volkov, and Viktor Patsayev were the 3 brave spacefarers who died in space. All 3 died in the June 1971 Soyuz 11 mission. While Soyuz 11 ended in tragedy, the vast majority of the mission went off without a hitch. Dobrovolsky, Volkov, and Patsayev spent 23 days in space aboard Russia's Soyuz 1, the first space station. During their mission, the brave cosmonauts sent live TV broadcasts back to Russia that gave people hope and showed a bright future. Patsayev was also the first person to operate a telescope in space. Later in the journal Nature, his spectrograms of the stars Vega and Beta Centauri, taken with the station's ultraviolet telescope, were featured. On June 30th, tragedy struck as the cosmonauts sat suitless inside the Soyuz descent module, preparing to re-enter Earth's atmosphere. According to a NASA document, what happened was, when the descent vehicle was traveling downward, an unintentional opening of a breathing ventilation valve in the interface ring between both the orbital module and the descent module caused the fatal cabin depressurization. To separate the 2 modules, the 12 Soyuz pyro cartridges fired simultaneously rather than sequentially 723 seconds after retrofire. The pressure equalization valve's internal mechanism released a seal that was typically burned off pyrotechnically much later to automatically adjust the cabin pressure due to the force of the discharge. When the valve opened at an altitude of 168 kilometers, the gradual but steady decline of pressure killed the crew within 30 seconds. The cabin pressure must have dropped to 0 by 935 seconds after the retrofire and stayed there until 1,640 seconds later, when the pressure began to rise as the ship decided to enter the upper levels of the atmosphere. Russian space authorities awaiting the cosmonauts' return had no idea of their dire situation as the Soyuz 11 module landed peacefully on solid ground after parachuting down from the sky. The re-entry appeared to have gone off without a hitch, and there was absolutely no reason to suspect anything was wrong. The opening of the Soyuz hatch poisoned the celebration atmosphere. Rescuers were witness to a gruesome scene. They found all 3 men motionless in their couches, with dark blue patches on their faces and blood trails from their noses and ears. Kerim Kerimov explained. Attempts at resuscitation were futile. The men almost certainly died of asphyxiation when the air in their cabin leaked into space, leaving them in a total vacuum where no one could live for more than 90 seconds. They would have only had 15 seconds to find and seal the gash in their damaged spacecraft before becoming deaf and blind as their blood vessels burst due to the pressure difference. While the exact details of their deaths were not revealed to the general public until a few years later, the cosmonauts' deaths were widely publicized. In a 2013 article, Ben Evans described the events. The disaster triggered an unprecedented outpouring of grief across Russia. People cried openly in the streets for 3 men who had been on their TV screens every night for more than 3 weeks. These cosmonauts were shown as real people, not as cold, faceless supermen, and they made it clear to Apollo that the Soviet Union was back in the business of sending people into space and was in the lead. Instead of 3 heroes with broad smiles and garlands of flowers, the Soviet people were treated to 3 funerals. NASA officials got the reports much sooner, and within a month they had looked over every part of the Apollo lunar and command modules that could leak. This included all the windows, hatches, valves, fittings, wiring, and wiring connections. NASA and Roscosmos began to require astronauts to wear pressurized suits during other mission phases, particularly the descent. Hey, that's all for today. We hope you enjoyed our video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel where you'll see even more of our incredible videos. And we look forward to catching up with you in our next one. Thanks for watching.